Two band students from LB Landry involved in an altercation with an NOPD officer during Mardi Gras were recognized for their composure.
The school honored the Algiers band members Brandon Mitchell and Jerome Marshall. Mitchell was seen in a viral video as he was shoved by NOPD Sergeant Alfred Russell Jr. during the Crew of Muses parade. Marshall stepped in between Mitchell and the police sergeant. Mitchell and Marshall were recognized for keeping their composure in a difficult situation.
But moms, dads, grandmothers, you did the right thing because you raised these boys right. Because they de-escalated a situation that could have been so bad. And I underscore, even though you were right.
As part of the ceremony, the two students were presented with scholarships, certificates. While many spoke highly of how they handled the incident, Sergeant Russell was removed from parade duty and the Public Integrity Bureau launched an investigation into the incident. So far, no disciplinary action has been announced.